is my belief, and we can show you with all sorts of studies, that any or all of us under the wrong conditions can turn into temporary assholes. You look at the evidence, crowding works pretty good, being tired, as I already said, being around other assholes. Being in a hurry is a really reliable way to do it. Getting power, that's a really good way to turn people into selfish jerks. So there's lots of things that could turn us into jerks, but the people that I'm more interested in sometimes, although the temporary part's interesting as well, is people who are certified assholes. Those are people who are consistently jerks across times and places. They're probably more difficult to deal with. So if you've got a friend who's just sort of going off and having a bad day, it's not the same thing as having the same abusive coworker or customer or boss day after day. The next one, I've already talked about power, but there's another part of power here, which is that if the person or persons who is oppressing you has a lot more power than you, then you probably got to plan more. You probably got to do some coalition building. Maybe you need to get out. But this is a situation, and we'll talk about some of this later, where it is good to be king. If you are the boss and you have a lot of power and somebody is an asshole, then you can fire them or make their life miserable in some way. So power is a good thing in this situation. Another distinction that's really important is, do you have just one person in your life who treats you like dirt? If you've got one person like that, it's bad. Even if it's the boss, you might be able to hide from him. Or if you're living in a Lord of the Flies situation, where everywhere you go, everybody treats everybody like dirt, like that guy who was at that asshole factory. In that situation, first of all, you probably should get out, which we'll talk about. But the other problem you've got is, besides the fact it's doing all sorts of damage to you, you're almost certainly going to turn into a jerk. And if you're in a situation like that, and I'm careful about saying when people should sort of throw back the dirt or whatever, I don't know how to survive in a situation like that without throwing some of it back. So we can talk about that. And then finally is damage. And this is partly due to individual differences and other things. There's some people who seem to have incredible ability to deal with terrible situations, and it doesn't really bother them that much. And some of us, probably I'm one of them, are more thin-skinned and more touchy. So you just kind of got to do the assessment of how much damage you're suffering. Okay, so those are kind of my key contingencies. What we're going to talk about for most of the remainder of the talk, and since just about all of you have the book, I don't have to try to study the book. These are 4 of the main survival strategy chapters. So make a clean getaway, what I call asshole avoidance techniques, reframing, and fighting back. Okay, so let's talk about quitting. So there's this notion that people, at least in American culture, probably Canadian too, since you're from have some of the same diseases we do, there's this notion that when you quit, like you're a loser. It's my perspective that if you're in a bad situation where somebody treats you consistently badly, if you can get out, it's one of the best things you can possibly do.